This video is not financial advice. Do your own research and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. People keep saying XRP is a bridge. Some mean it as a promise. Others say it's just a myth. Today, I want to make this simple. I will explain what the word bridge actually means in payments. What must be true for any bridge to work, where XRP could realistically fit, and where it probably won't. No hype. Only what we can explain with plain logic and observable signals. Let's start with the idea itself. When people hear bridge, they imagine a single coin chosen for the entire world. That is not how real payment systems work. In payments, a bridge is just a pathway that reduces waiting time and cost when money moves from one place to another. The old model uses pre-funded accounts. A bank parks cash in another country in advance, so when a payment arrives, there is money ready on the other side. That method is slow and expensive, and during stress, the money you need can be in the wrong place. A bridge, in the practical sense, is any method that lets you move value quickly without holding so much idle cash in many countries. If a tool reduces pre-funding, increases speed, and keeps compliance and records clean, it behaves like a bridge. Now think about what would make a digital asset act like that in the real world. It is not a slogan. It needs a few conditions. First, you need enough liquidity where trades happen. That means a deep order book so that buying or selling a normal amount does not move the price too much. If the book is thin, costs jump because you push the price against yourself. Second, volatility needs to be reasonable. If prices swing wildly from minute to minute, the savings from faster settlement can be eaten by price risk. Third, rules and custody must be clear. A bank or a payment company will not use a tool it cannot hold safely or explain to a regulator. Fourth, there must be a production-grade window where things actually run. This is not the same as a press release. It means defined hours, limits, and scope where payments are flowing every day without drama. So where does XRP come in? In some corridors, if using XRP keeps less cash locked up and gets payments done faster, a company might hold small working balances to support operations. That is not speculation. That is a practical choice. Less idle capital, more transactions, lower total cost. But this will not happen everywhere all at once. It will happen in pockets where the conditions I just described are already true. Let me explain the signals you can watch at home to see whether those conditions are forming. You do not need fancy tools. Start with what is visible. If exchange balances of XRP are steadily falling, while large institutional wallets are growing, that can mean coins are moving away from trading venues and toward operational use. It is not proof by itself, but it is a clue. If large off-exchange deals seem to settle more slowly or need more negotiations, that can mean available surface liquidity is tighter. If futures prices sit above spot for long stretches, that can show a consistent demand to borrow the asset or hedge positions, which again points to tightness on the surface. And if you notice official phrases like go live, production, pilot corridor, interlinking, or attestation from payment networks or custodians, those are signs that real rails are being connected and real reporting is happening. When you see time windows, volume limits, and named countries, that is stronger than any rumor. I want to keep the language very clear, so here is the idea of liquidity with a simple picture. Imagine XRP as a lake with 3 layers. On the surface, you have the coins that trade quickly on exchanges. In the middle layer, there are working balances used for payments. These come in and out as businesses run their operations. At the bottom, you have long-term reserves that rarely move. If the middle and bottom layers grow while total supply does not grow much, the surface layer becomes thin. When the surface is thin, even a small buy or sell can move the price more than usual. This can make headlines look dramatic, but the cause is often simple. There is less immediately tradable supply at the top of the lake. This is also why you hear people talk about basis, the difference between futures and spot. When futures trade above spot for a while, it can mean people want exposure but do not want to touch the spot market too much, or that borrow costs are high. It is another indirect hint that the surface layer may not be very thick. Again, no single hint is enough, but a group of hints that point the same way is useful. Let's connect this to the bigger system. Around the world, banks and payment companies are upgrading the language they use to send messages. The new message formats carry more detail: who is paying, who is receiving, why, and what to do if something goes wrong. That helps compliance and reduces errors. At the same time, many regions are linking instant payment systems so money can move faster across borders. None of this chooses a coin. It builds better rails. On better rails, anything that lowers cost and moves value quickly has a chance to be used if it can meet the rules. So could XRP act like a bridge? The honest answer is yes, in the right places and under the right conditions. It is not an all-or-nothing story. It is a map with many small routes. You might see limited windows where certain corridors use it during certain hours with volume caps. That is how real systems roll out. They start small, prove stability, and grow based on results, not slogans. Where would it struggle? It would struggle where the order book is too thin, where price swings are too big, where custody is not approved, or where the legal status is muddy. In those places, even if the technology works, the risk team will say no. And that is reasonable. Payment systems are not built on hope. They are built on boring, repeatable steps that do not blow up on a busy Monday morning. You might ask, if XRP is not the only option, what else could act as a bridge? In some cases, stablecoins or tokenized money with clear reserves and strong reporting can help. The point is not that one tool wins forever. The point is that tools compete on cost, speed, and clarity. The cheapest path that keeps records clean usually wins. It can also help to watch stress in the wider market. When funding costs rise, when volatility jumps, and when spreads widen, everyone starts to care a lot more about settlement speed and capital efficiency. In those moments, the old model of pre-funding becomes painful. That is when bridges of any kind, whether XRP in a pocket or a well-regulated stable instrument, get their chance to show value. Not because a committee chose them, but because they remove friction when friction hurts most. I want to give you a calm way to follow this story each week without spending your life on it. Set one day and one time. Spend 5 minutes. Ask yourself a few simple questions in plain language. Are official payment networks turning on new links or reporting real production hours? Are there updates about message migrations finishing or moving from test to production? Do you see credible notes about funding stress or liquidity in financial reports? In crypto, are exchange balances trending lower while large wallets grow? Are futures prices often above spot? You do not need exact numbers. You only need the direction. If several answers are yes at the same time, it means the system is moving toward tighter surface liquidity and toward faster rails. That is the environment where bridges have practical value. Now, let's address the myth versus reality part directly. The myth says, a single coin will be chosen for the whole world on a specific date. Reality says, payment rails are upgraded step by step, networks interlink slowly, and assets are used where they actually lower cost under clear rules. The myth says, when the switch flips, price explodes. Reality says, liquidity can be thin or thick, and price moves depend on many forces, including how much supply is sitting on the surface of the lake. The myth loves screenshots and slogans. Reality leaves footprints, production windows, attestation reports, custody integrations, and corridors that keep running even when nobody tweets about them. So where do we land? If someone asks, can XRP be a bridge? The best answer is simple. It can be where it makes the numbers better and the rules are clear. It won't be where it does not reduce cost or where compliance blocks it. You do not need to argue on social media. You can just watch the signs. Look for working corridors, not promises. Look for operational language, not hype words. And look for conditions that make sense: depth, reasonable volatility, custody, clarity, and a real production window. I will finish with the same rule I started with. If it's real, we call it real. If it's possible, we call it a scenario. If there is no data, there is no claim. The goal is not to crown a hero. The goal is to move money with less friction, less idle cash, and more transparency. If XRP helps do that in some places, it will be used in those places. If something else does it better in other places, that will be used there. That is not a disappointment. That is how healthy systems evolve. Thanks for watching. If this helped you understand the topic more clearly, consider subscribing for more simple, data-first explanations. No hype, just the mechanics that actually matter.